a type A because I do know how to relax and stuff, but when I get moving, I'm moving. And, it's hard for me to stop. So when I first started to sit down for meditation, I cracked myself up because I would sit with, I love crystals, so I'd bring a crystal up, and then I had
Yes.
my meditation music, and then I gave myself, not outs, but just different methods, like lined them up for myself while I sat and attempted my meditation. This was when I was first starting, so that if I felt like I wasn't being able to sit and just, like we were saying, just listen for your breath, in and out, that I was just continuously being distracted, then I would probably pull a card from one of my oracle decks, and just focus on what it said maybe. Or I would, if I was feeling too, like I needed to move, then I would actually just do maybe a drawing meditation. I just sit and doodle, nothing in
Lovely.
particular, just lines and shapes and whatnot. Nothing that would engage my mind necessarily too much, but more to put it at ease. So I give myself these different avenues in those 5 minutes to do my meditation, however way it was going to happen that day. But I find that now I go up by myself and just sit. But that was a really good way for me to start because it forced me. At one time, I was actually sitting for half an hour at one point, or longer, 45 minutes. So be easy with yourself if you want to start. It doesn't have to be any particular method of meditation unless you're someone who absolutely has to have a name for it and, ways to do it. There are lots out there. There's mindfulness meditation, transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
There's quite a few out there, but find the one that works best for you and use it.
What would you say, for people that aren't very au fait with meditation at the moment, you just mentioned transcendental and mindfulness meditation. Would you just briefly explain what the difference between those is?
Mindfulness meditation goes more into it's actual like a guided meditation you either do with yourself or you'll listen to it, listen to someone else guide you through it. You're being mindful of, most of the time for me, it's the body. So you would actually go through the meditation saying, right now I'm going to focus on the forehead. And I'm going to focus on releasing and relaxing those muscles in the forehead. And I'm going to move down to the eyes. So you would do that throughout the whole body. Yeah. So a mindful meditation. Transcendental meditation, I have to be honest with you, I really don't know a lot about it. I do know that when people do it, this is one type of meditation that I guess would be more in the woo-woo section of people's dictionary of meditations. Transcendental, meaning they are actually transcending the level of being in physical body and mind into that place where you're up and out and above and elsewhere. So again, for me, those are so far reaching in the sense that if like I don't feel like I have the time for that, so it almost makes me hold my breath a little bit. But again, just going back to like a simple meditation, just whatever it is for you, as long as you can be quiet and allow not even the mind, it's just everything to relax.
It is. It's just stopping the chatter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Giving yourself some space just to be. I think, because you love the outdoors as much as I do. And
yes, I keep thinking walking meditation.
Just sometimes being outside and connecting with nature, whether that's just watching the birds feed or water flow down the river or a lake into a lake, or, just being out and grounded is just so beneficial.
Yes. And for me too, it's also about, when I'm deep into that space, to listen to the birds singing. That is one of the most wonderful sounds in the whole wide world to me.
Oh, it's beautiful. We're very lucky here in the UK. We have some lovely bird song. And when we go to France, we spend some of our summer holidays in the south of France. And I miss the birds because they don't have the same songbirds down there like we have here. And okay, we get the chilly weather, but we get the bird song. And it's just, I miss it so much when I'm on holiday.
I live here on the Cape in Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and it's a route for migration.
Wow,
So
get them
we
all,
tend to
probably.
get lots of birds at different times of the year, and it's lovely. I just absolutely love it. I love bird song.
Now, all of this has sort of taken you in a direction to create a program that you're launching mid-January. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the program?
Yes, my program, it's the Midlife Mastery Program. I have, I turned 50 this year, and for the last, thank you, for the last, I'm thinking maybe 5-6 years ago, I do, the majority of my work that I do is massage therapy with people. And what I was noticing through my clients is that I was starting to hit perimenopause.
Yes.
And also go into those years where I would start hearing women saying, it's harder to take the weight off. It's, their husbands are retiring, or maybe they were retiring and they had no idea what they were going to do next, or how they were going to handle their husbands being at home with them all day. Mm-hmm. These things got me to thinking and started me on a movement to get ahead of all of that. And in doing that, it just really reinforced everything I've been doing in my past to get to where I'm at now. So what I realized is that I've been carrying these tools around for a really long time. Now I'm just using them differently in a way to help project me into, that woman I've always wanted to be. And now I have that time. The time and the energy for it, to move forward. So in doing that, incorporating tools, my medicine wheel, when I was in my 20s, I was introduced to setting up a medicine wheel for meditation and kind of also seeing, where you are at in your life, dependent on where you're sitting in the medicine wheel. And I have a whole map and a guide for that. But it, also initiated with my medicine pipe and to do these circles. So using that, again, meditation, and using my, working out my positive affirmations, knowing how I talk to myself, knowing that, I have to take pleasure in life every day, because if I don't, I'm not going to be happy. So, what I've done is I've taken these steps, and there are 9 of them, and I've created a 9-week program, 1 step every week, so that you have 7 days to be awash in the step that we're going through. We'll say like self-talk. So you'd be able to, through the worksheets and stuff that I give you, is first and foremost, know what self-talk is, get clear on where you're at with yourself and how you're talking to yourself, and what tapes you're playing from other people talking. Because I know when we're really listening in to get clarity, that you can actually hear the voices of those people who have said those things to you in the past.
Yes.
So to be able to take all that in that 1 week and get clearer on it, to practice your affirmation, to come up with your own affirmations. Mm-hmm. So, that's just one of the steps. So I break it down into 9, the last step being, of course, pleasure and celebration, because I just really honestly believe that is a big part of living. If we're not in pleasure and celebrating, then why are we here?
Absolutely. Yeah. Forget that. This sounds absolutely fascinating, and I want you to sort of quickly go over the other steps, if you wouldn't mind too. But before you do, you mentioned, and this is the bit that I just find so interesting, your medicine wheel and your medicine pipe. Can you explain a bit more about that? I'm just so intrigued.
Yes, my medicine wheel, my own personal medicine wheel, I have some beautiful gemstones that I use to lay out. Best to explain it, of course, it's a circle. You're using stones. If I'm doing one outdoors, I just use like river stones and stuff. It can be any size. You start with your center. That's, always yourself, your center, yourself. And then you surround that with 7 other rocks, those being the different steps you're going to do. And then each direction has its own stone. So, east, south, west, and north. Mm-hmm. And usually to start the wheel, you'll sit in the east. East is the beginning. It's where the sun rises. It's the children's lodge. It's the men's lodge. So, you go into that space knowing and feeling the beginnings and the sun and being outer, more male, going out to do things, to get things started. Mm-hmm. Then you move into like the south, which is the children's lodge, which is a place of growing and greenery and, being alive and imaginative and creative. Then you move into the west, which is the woman's lodge, the place of the womb, of magic, of being inner and the dark shadow parts and, learning more and getting deep into that. And then you move into the north, which is the all-knowing, the place of our elders and our great grandmothers and grandfathers, our ancestors, the place of light and knowing. So you can do this. I've done it a month medicine wheel where every week you move into a different direction. Mm-hmm. And just meditate on it that way. My medicine pipe, I usually smoke that before. It's a pipe that was actually made in South Dakota by one of the tribes there, the Lakota tribes. And the stem is, I just blanked on the type of wood it is. But the piece that you put the tobacco in is made out of sandstone, and it was hand carved by someone, and then actually presented to me at one of my at my actual initiation that I did in California with my friends and people out there. There were 6 of us being initiated that day. So my wonderful and beautiful friend Susan Grace Lawton, who lives in Sacramento, California, was doing the teachings, and she learned from grandmother Eden, the steps, and we follow the moon cycle. It's not a sun cycle. It's the grandmother's medicine wheel that we do. So it's the moon cycles we go with. So at the full moon is where you would start the circle. Yes. On the full moon, and you just bring in full moon energies, which is wow. So it's just really fun. You do it outside. We do some beautiful chants, both in English and then Native American Indian chanting, and it's just a really beautiful thing to do.
Oh, if I come in your neck of the woods, I'm going to knock on your door and ask if I can go around your medicine wheel with you. That just sounds so awesome. Oh,
thank you. Yes, that would be great. I just bought a house about 2 years ago, and we've been doing landscaping in the backyard, but clearing a good enough space where I can have on one side a labyrinth to walk through, and then on the other side my medicine wheel, so I could just go sit out in the center of my medicine wheel. It's going to be big.
That just sounds idyllic. Oh my goodness, I feel like I've met my soul sister.
Kate, we need to meet. We need to meet in person.
Definitely do. I was just so intrigued. I wish I had more than an hour to talk to you.
Oh, it's beautiful. So I also incorporate some of my Native American teachings and whatnot into my body work.
Okay. So can you explain a bit more about that?
Yes, I haven't done it with a lot of people. I haven't advertised it because I live on the East Coast, and it's kind of, it's been an interesting journey out here as far as the woo-woo part of it is. I'm a native Californian from Southern California, and so I was born woo-woo. But this year I decided, you know what, I'm going to stop hiding that part of myself, and I'm going to just put it out there. So what I do is I start people out in a deep trance with my drum. Mm-hmm. And, and then I do a welcoming Indian chant to welcome the grandmothers, the healing ancestors, and anybody that day that wants to work with, in a positive way with my client and myself that day. And then we just, depending on what their issues are and, what we're working towards, we kind of do, like a soul retrieval work with them. It is body work. So my hands are on the body, and we are moving energy, not just physically, but also energetically.